Today on the news and why it matters, a sex scandal on Capitol Hill that you will not hear about in the mainstream media. Also, Republicans are storming the gates of the secret impeachment proceedings. Got a lot to get into. It starts right now. Welcome, welcome one, welcome all to the news and why it matters. I am Sara Gonzalez today with a very colorful Stuber gear.
Thank you very much. That's me.
Colorful.
I love that flannel.
Isn't it nice? Yeah. It's very nice. Also, it helps wearing flannel when we're in a studio that's like 10 million degrees below zero.
It was 56.9 during radio today in this room.
I like the 0.9.
56.9.
just to be precise.
That's not an indoor temperature, unless you live in the wilderness and you have no heating or air conditioning.
David Harris Jr., thanks for being back. I feel like it's been forever.
It has been. It's been too long.
I know.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I know. Glad you're here.
In this weather.
And Jason Howerton, our social media guru. Thanks for being here, gentlemen. Got a lot to get into, but first we want to thank our sponsor, American Financing. So whatever you need a loan for, you need a home loan, you need a refi right now because the interest rates are incredible, before they go back up, like Glenn keeps predicting. You got to go to American Financing. American Financing is there for those of you who like to do really sane, reasonable, smart plans, which is why they're not for Stu. Because Stu did not want one of those sane, reasonable proposals.
I like the opposite of those words. Irrational, insane, those types of things.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the thing. The reason why they did such a good job and lasted through the crisis was because they were making smart loans and not...
they didn't make loans to Stu.
I mean, I don't know why you have to keep bringing it back to that, but yes, that's what their policies basically don't loan to me.
They have salary-based professionals, not commission-based, so they really, truly are in it to help get you and your family into the best solution that fits your needs. You can go to AmericanFinancing.net or you can call 800-906-2440 if you are like one of the 5 people remaining in America who uses a cell phone for its actual original purpose of making phone calls. AmericanFinancing.net. So, sex scandal on Capitol Hill that no one seems to be talking about. I have not seen this anywhere in mainstream media as of the time of this taping. I don't know if that will change. But Representative Katie Hill of California is now, okay, Stu, you're going to have to teach me these new terms because apparently she was in a, what is it?
A throuple.
A throuple.
A throuple.
A throuple.
Not a couple.
Throuple.
A
Not a
throuple.
throuple. That means a three-person couple.
But that's just a threesome.
No. How dare you? How dare you? Oh my gosh. That is just like a...
I'm such a prude. I don't know these terms.
I think a threesome was like a sexual thing. A throuple is a deep, meaningful relationship between 3 people. Now, Katie Hill, who I have very strong feelings about, that I developed over the past 12 hours when I first heard of her, is somebody who is in Congress, apparently, and is an out bisexual, and according to multiple accusations, she first of all had an affair with another guy, is the accusation from her ex-husband. As we know, with the accusations when divorces are going on, not always reliable, but that was the accusation. And then another accusation of, I believe, the husband and a young female staffer, so a throuple.
Right, a throuple. Obviously a throuple. Yeah.
Yes, and there was some allegations there of some impropriety. Some texts were released. I believe Red State was the site that got them first, and as well as some photos, one of which is Katie, who I'm very passionate about her and her positions, which I could describe to you in detail as soon as I were to hear of any of them. She is naked brushing somebody's hair, which I don't know. Maybe that's a normal thing that happens. I don't know. Women are weird.
I got just.
You've never done that?
No, I gotta say unequivocally,
Really?
I have never brushed another woman's hair.
While naked, while she was clothed.
Let alone brush another woman's hair naked. Neither of those things I've done.
Again, I didn't want to read into it. I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. But she, look, the accusations are out there. She's denying, she's at least denying the affair with the guy. She kind of seems to be a little bit cagey about her response when it comes to the photo and the throuple, in that she says her husband is a bad guy, was abusive, and now is just trying to destroy her. Also, she says she's turned the pictures over to the Capitol Police. They were posted against her will. And she, of course, because of that, can't comment on anything related to the photos. So we don't know either way. Like, I legitimately had never heard her name until today. That is where we are. Number one, it's a little surprising considering this scandal is not brand new news. It's a few, there's been some of these rumblings for a while, and the media has not picked up on them. I think there's an interesting part of this where, we hear about the Me Too movement and how much of that is not about sexual assault or even sexual harassment, but just about a power dynamic, about how someone in power can't be with someone who's not in power because even if they're consensual, it's just not okay. Does seem to be, if true, a violation of that sort of thing. It's, frankly, I don't really care about her personal life, but I can tell you this, that if it was, I want to paint some weird picture here for him, but I'm going to have to make this point. If it was Ted Cruz who was naked brushing someone's hair, maybe a young staffer in a little red tie.
Why?
I gotta think that we might have heard about it.
Oh my
I feel like it may have cracked the news cycle if the roles were a little bit different.
Especially if, David, I want to bring you and Jason into the conversation, especially if there were texts that were released, which is what happened here. There were texts that were released of the staffer saying to this congresswoman, I am terrified of pushing back against you or upsetting you. I have seen how you treat Kenny, her ex-husband. And I think that if I cause any issues, even if I am very worried about how you are acting, that very quickly you will decide you don't want me in your life. I mean, that kind of lends to the whole power.
What did she say, though? She said she was afraid she wouldn't want her in her life.
I understand, but that's a weird thing to say in a relationship. I'm terrified of upsetting you. That sounds a little toxic.
Maybe she's a crazy person. Maybe she is toxic.
Sounds like she's hearing
this. He's blaming the victim right there. That's what that is.
Maybe she is toxic.
Maybe she just wanted really straight hair.
Yeah, maybe she just enjoys brushing women's hair naked. I don't know. But the bottom line is this. I think that this, unless it affects her job as a congresswoman or unless there's evidence of her pressuring this woman, whatever, it's nonsense. And the only reason why we're covering it is because of what you said. The double standard is there. Anybody else, it happens. But ironically, I feel like the media is covering this in the way they should, but not because they're doing the right thing, but because they want to ignore it, right? So to me, I feel like we've become very voyeuristic with this. It's saucy, it's naughty, and we want to be involved in
what are you doing in your personal life, Jason?
Every aspect of politicians' lives, but to me, this feels slimy to me, and I don't really like to delve into it unless it's impacting the job or there's some sort of wrongdoing. And right now we don't have it. If we want to point out the hypocrisy of it, I get it, 100%. There's zero question. But that's just how I feel about it.
I mean, what about the moral aspect, though? I feel like we used to be, and I get it, all you President Trump critics are going to be like, well, what about all the things that President Trump did and said when he was a playboy? All right, I got it. But when you are in office, I guess it's okay because it was a throuple, and it was.
To me, the question just comes back to if it was consensual or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually saw this article, I think, on Twitter, and I saw the picture of her sitting there combing a girl's hair. I didn't even click on it to read it. I'm like, it just looks, well, I don't even know what it is, kind of slimy. And I just kept scrolling. I didn't really care. I'm like, what are they trying to do, and why are they making such a huge deal out about this? But if it comes out that there was actual, consent issues, then it becomes a whole part of the power struggle that, Democrats don't want to actually look like they do anything wrong or ever do anything wrong, and the media always, blasts Republicans anytime there's anything remotely that looks out of place. So yeah, the hypocrisy is there.
Look, maybe there's a whole subset of throuples out there.
It's a growing trend, I heard.
They're a voting constituency for her.
Not in my house.
Do I agree with it?
Just clarify.
I don't think Texas. You said this is California, right?
Exactly.
Probably not.
Exactly.
Am I very no, unless maybe there's like a few that I would maybe allow it. Maybe Jennifer Aniston, something like that. I'd allow it.
You just keep digging.
His wife's
I'm just
name?
gonna let you keep going.
Telling.
Be quiet. But honestly, I mean, there's no wrongdoing alleged here outside of the toxic word, and they're trying. I'm seeing it twisted.
Well, but did you see the sunscreen part?
What, I don't want. Do I want to know?
Allegedly,
She wasn't using
Representative
SPF? Oh my gosh,
Representative Hill
that is a controversy.
applied sunscreen to her in front of all the staffers without her consent, and she was very embarrassed and humiliated and had to tell her later, please don't do that.
Is this true?
That's what I read.
Well, so I don't know if that's
She
true.
applied, I mean, you can't apply sunscreen in 2019 without consent these days.
I agree.
If a guy was doing that to a female, they would string him up.
That's true.
Period.
Yes.
With no consent.
Yes.
Rub it at female, putting lotion on, something like that. It's a pretty personal, intimate thing to do. And so I guess where's the double standard if it's a woman doing it? Maybe that's why people are trying to have more of an issue with it.
And to your point, I think, Jason, it's like, look, when there is a double standard, I think the appropriate thing to do is pick which one of the standards you like and apply it, right?
Yeah.
And I think the more appropriate standard is to sit back and wait, and there's no there's no reason for us to need to cover this on a daily basis. It came out, we can discuss it quickly and talk generally, I think, about the double standard, which is important. And I think it's also,
Especially if there's a divorce happening.
yeah, well, this is what I was going to bring up, is because the double standard is it's a little bit of a, it's a talking head point, right? We all come on here and we say double standard, but it is important to, when you have a moment like this, to criticize the previously used standard and try to overturn it. I'll give you an example of this. Why was Barack Obama president of the United States? Well, he may have won, and everything may have turned out the exact same
he was
way.
black.
But he was no, that's true. I mean, that's
why.
I think it was helpful.
Made white folks feel good.
You're allowed to say it, David.
Black folks were like, well, how can I not vote for him? That's why he won.
Let me back up a little bit, though, because there was a time before he was president of the United States that he was senator, as we all remember. And if you remember, when he won his Senate election, he won a very easy victory. It wasn't Alan Keyes that he ran against or something. It was like a very easy victory when he first ran. Why was it an easy victory? Well, his very well-funded, very competitive Republican opponent was taken out, Jack Ryan, because he was going through a divorce. His divorce records were sealed. They opened the divorce records to try to embarrass him, and they found all sorts of accusations from his wife, Jerry Ryan, against Jack Ryan, who was neck and neck in the polls with Obama at that time for that Senate seat. And what they found was that there was accusations of him wanting to have threesomes or potentially throuples, going to strip clubs and all these other things.
Who knew?
I know, and he wound up dropping out of the race. So Barack Obama had an easy sail, and Mike Ditka didn't run against him. Who knows what would happen if Ditka stepped in at that point. But the point is, they use these things when they want to use them, and then they act as if it's completely inappropriate the other way. I would say, I would like it to be where we do sit back and we say, look, if there are actual accusations of real damaging things done to interns or pages or any of that stuff, that is real and serious and needs to be looked into. Some of this other stuff is just tabloidy nonsense.
The photo, I think, is way too far. I mean, unless there's something that happened.
That they released it or that they did it?
That they released it.
Okay.
And we don't know who released it.
Right, right. Yeah, we don't know.
I think it just shows you the state, unfortunately, of our country and so many people that just are wanting the thrill. I mean, it's like CNN getting outed for everything that they have been caught doing. They're talking about clicks. We are in a society where everybody's faces are on their phone. They're looking for the next, either hot or nasty or ugly or vicious thing that they can talk about. And so, it leads way to, if there's a picture like that about somebody that's in our government, they're gonna post it and create a story about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll be keeping our eye on this story to see if there's issues with consent. It's probably gonna turn into a problem. We'll be back.
Maybe a title for today's show is Jason Howerton proposes with wife and Jennifer Aniston.
That's good for SEO. Before we get back into the conversation, we want to thank our new sponsor. Welcome to our new sponsor, This Is Elle. Now, men, I'd like you to be mature about this, okay? Because I'm talking to the women right now. Women, I don't know if you know this, but your feminine hygiene products, they most likely contain bleach and chlorine and fragrance and dyes and all of these nasty things that, go in your body. So what This Is Elle has done is they have created just organic cotton. Just organic cotton. That's all you need. You don't need all of the nasty chemicals and dyes and all of that. And more importantly, Elle is focused on giving back to the community. So what they do is for every box that you purchase, every time you purchase one of their products, they're actually providing this product to women and girls in need in third world countries where they don't have access to feminine hygiene care. Oftentimes there are girls who can't go to school because they don't have access to feminine hygiene care in these countries. So This Is L is also dedicated to giving back to the community. So you can get an organic product, and you can also give back to the community. All you have to do is you can go to thisisl.com/news. It's thisisl.com/news, or you can find it. You can go to your local Target. They're in Targets nationwide. All you have to look for, it is the best, snazziest looking packaging on the shelf. You have to look for a clear canister with a gold lid or white bags with a large gold circle on the front. They're all about the gold, probably because they're the best. It is thisisl.com/news. Welcome, This Is L. So Republicans, House Republicans, stormed the gates of the impeachment proceedings today. I know Representative Matt Gaetz gave this whole big spiel. Do we have the clip, Control? Oh, okay, cool. Well, so what I was going to show you right there was Steve Scalise. Matt Gaetz came and took the podium and talked about how, you know, they were not going to let the Democrats just go do this in secret without giving access to any other members of Congress. Steve Scalise came on, said basically the same thing, that, you know, it wasn't right to just do all of this in secret. They were kind of abusing their power. They apparently, Republicans, they got in. They actually forced their way in, and with their cell phones, which is not what you're supposed to do. Not supposed to bring cell phones in there. And so Adam Schiff took his witnesses and left. Still, your thoughts? I know. Poor baby.
I like television. I like music. I like movies. I like podcasts. Don't like theater. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
Right? Like on both sides. I mean, you know, like the forcing it in with the cell phones, and they all come out for the press conference and they all act. It's the same sort of theater we saw yesterday with the lynching comments of Trump, where they're like, "Oh, we're so offended. Oh, sure, we've said it 50 times ourselves in history."
No. They perpetrated the lynchings, the Democrat Party.
Well, that's true too. I mean, I wasn't going back that far, but yes, that's true too. You know, this is what I don't like about this whole process. I mean, if it was a serious process where they were actually looking for facts on impeachment, maybe they'd find something. Maybe something was serious. If it was, we'd all be, I'm sure, very much saying like, "Look, this is terrible." But instead, this is about theater. They're trying to convince people that this is out of control administration, and they're going down these roads. And then the Republicans, who, I mean, I think have a fair base foundational argument here that they're not being involved in this process enough, and they don't know what's going on. But
they also said too, which I think you will agree with. I heard Steve Scalise say this, that this is not, you're just trying to overturn the election. Let the American people decide in the next election. There's no reason for this.
But can they even do that?
Can they?
Can the Democrats even? Well, they can go through an impeachment, but the Senate's not going to pass it.
Right. But you wouldn't think so. And plus, that's usually where the due process stuff lives, is in the Senate.
Yeah.
You know, both the House and the Senate in the Constitution have basically the right to do whatever they want to make this process happen. However, traditionally, that's what's happened. Is there's been sort of an investigation, a lot of question asking. A report comes out of the House, it goes to the Senate, and they have an actual trial. And I think you're right, David. Is that, you know, generally speaking, unless some bombshell that we don't know or expect comes out, it's almost definitely going to be voted down there. That's why this is all theater, right? Like people keep saying like, "Oh, Donald Trump, will he be impeached?" He was impeached in November when they got in control of the House. Period. They were going to impeach him no matter what happened. Yep. They were going to find a reason. The second they got the majority in the House, he was impeached. Can we move past it? Because honestly, it's a waste of time. We have an election coming up in a year. We have, you know, what is it, late January or early February, we have Iowa, right? Like, we're in the middle of this. We're already having debates. There is no reason to go through impeachment here other than just theater and the hope that if they can put the stamp of impeachment on Donald Trump, it will hurt his reelection. That's what this is about. They keep saying this is all constitutional. The concept of the Constitution was not to be used as just some political device. It was supposed to be used, impeachment, for something incredibly serious. To overturn an election is a massive thing, and it should only be done in the at the highest standards. And this does not hit it, at least so far, in my opinion.
Yeah. David, do you agree this is a circus on both sides?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, it's kind of like the slimy story we were talking about earlier. Unfortunately, the American people are used to getting this theater, and you know, on the side of the Democrats, they're trying to make their point. They're trying to. I don't know how many Democrats in Congress have said. I think even Hillary said it. If President Trump's not impeached, he's going to win. re-election. So I think the only thing that they can do is try to taint as many minds of Americans as possible to something that they're saying is negative and bad, so that maybe they won't vote for him next year. But I think that it's ridiculous. On the side of the Republicans that are trying to get in, you know what? Just maybe don't take your cell phones. But it's like, I try to get in there and see what the heck they're talking about. I want to know that information.
The problem is, though,
they're leaking all this stuff anyway. And it's like,
that's true, but there are Republicans on the committee. My problem is they're trying to convince people that there's no Republicans involved in the process. There are Republicans on the committee who can relay information to other Republicans. I'm putting the responsibility a little more on us as a society.
So then it is theater.
It is
theater. I thought there was no Republicans in there. There's Republicans in there.
So it's on both.
Do you know how many? I want to say there's only one, but I know there is at least one.
I think there's multiple, but I don't know.
But are they rhinos?
I don't know.
That's the other problem.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too, is if Adam Schiff wasn't so unbelievable, right? I mean, he gets on the floor. Yeah, he gets on the floor and makes up this complete story where you see that all he wants to do is paint President Trump to be this terrible person who's already committed all of these crimes. It is hard because you see what he's doing, and to know that you're not involved in any of the proceedings and have to sit back and let him run the show, I'm sure it's hard. Now, I don't agree with the big spectacle of it, but I do understand the motivation and like the desire to be like, hey, maybe you should let us be a part of this too, because we don't really trust that you're going to run this the right way.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and it's I think that messaging was effective, right? But once you start getting into this back and forth, basically coming down to the Democrats' level. But what I was going to say was I think it's our fault as a society. I think both sides do this. Like we don't just allow it, we feed on it. Just both sides of the political parties. One side has impeached the MFer and it's retweet, yeah. And with this side, it's storm the gates and do whatever at all costs to stop them from going after Trump. And we kind of just allow it to be this way by consuming the content, by sharing the content, by encouraging it. And it seems like asking for like just sanity is almost like an outlier.
I don't think anything that the GOP has done comes anywhere close to all of the onslaught of attacks and lies and deceit and cheating. And they're literally basically willing to do, I think, whatever it takes to try to win, which in their mind is just getting rid of this president.
Right, and I think I'm glad you brought it to that, because I think you can misread what we're saying here when you say both sides do it. Like I don't think. Like, it's a little bit of a stunt, right? The Republicans are pulling a stunt to draw attention to something. Do I love it? No. But I mean, we live in a social media world where this is just the sort of crap that happens. Stepping back from that, though, if the Democrats really believe they had a good case and they really believe they had this information, they really believe they could win over people in the middle and maybe some people on the right, they would want to do this as publicly as possible to expose it to everyone so they could judge for themselves. Instead, what they want to do is do it in private so they can leak the very specific things they want out there to create a momentum against Trump before people get to see the full picture. It's disingenuous, and I don't think it's going to work. I think they will impeach him. I think it will go to the House or Senate and die there. But it's never been tested. We've never seen an impeachment happen before an election like this. We have no idea how this is going to affect the electorate.
Quick question for you: do you think under this
real quick, because we've got
under this standard the Democrats have set with Obama, with IRS, with Benghazi, all these, did Republicans have enough under their standard to impeach Trump? To impeach Obama?
I tend to really want the voters to make these decisions and not our government. It's our duty to be able to vote in who we think is the right person. And I think only things that rise to really high levels should be impeachment. I'm more Dershowitz than I am Amash on this one. I think that standard should be high.
I agree.
Jason, notice that was a non-answer. You didn't actually answer the question. What, are you running for office? We'll get back in a minute.
I think when I said I think the people make the decision, I think then my answer is no.
Before we go into overtime, would like to once again extend the invitation for all of you to join us at the M1 Ball. It is taking place on Saturday at the Omni Hotel in downtown Dallas, which is gorgeous, by the way. I will be there. Glenn and Tanya will be there. This guy over here will be there.
They let me into these events still. After all this time, they still let me in.
I'm shocked.
I know.
I would have thought that we had a little bit higher standards than that.
We do not.
You can go to mercury1.org/M1Ball, get your ticket, and enter the raffle. There's a silent auction. You got to go there, mercury1.org.